Today I'm collecting every single die in hardcore Minecraft, and I'm not just grabbing them, I have to build a farm for each one so they're all automatic. Some are easy, some are hard. Let's see how this goes. Alright, out front of my museum here, I've got a little board set up for all the collection of all the dies before they actually go into the museum, just so we can see how it all looks together. So on this row here is going to be the dies, below is going to be all the ways you get the dies, so the flowers and all the other materials that turn into the die directly, and above are the combinations, because some of these you can't actually get directly from a material in the world, you need to combine two dies to get them. So let's get into it. Alright, first up is an easy one. We've already got an iron farm going, which you can see in the background, we're getting poppies. So the first thing we get is we get free red dye. So that's one down. This next one is a little bit further away, and it is in my wither farm. And as you can see, it's not just one farm, we're not just getting the nice little bones to turn into bone meal, but we're also going to get wither skulls, which will help later on. Alright, these next two required a little bit of hoppering and building of farms. So first up, we've got our cactus farm. We do have one, if we look just down there, a nice cactus farm. I'll probably be removing that now that we have this fully automatic one. I've got it all just hooked up nicely to a bamboo farm, which is going to be just sending it through to this autocrafter, which is going to smelt it all down into the green dye. Next up is a simple sea pickle farm. So this is the one I took from XbCrafted. I found a nice tutorial by him. I'll leave a link in the description down below for that farm. It works really well, and his video explains how it works. All I have to do is flip this lever, and it's going to use the bone meal I place into these dispensers. I can probably place a chest up there, and that would automatically refill them. But that's going to send it across and into my furnace here. As you can see, it crafts them very quickly. I might need to expand my farm here a little bit. Oh, it looks like I left a bit of glass in there. That's not good. I'll have to expand that just so I get more and more of the fuel. Maybe set up a couple lines because I have one down there. But that's good for just having more, and it'll probably feed eventually into my super smelter down below. But that is two more, so that gives you the lime dye. So let's go take these over to the board. Alright, now for the black dye. Now this one is a little bit of a slow burner. It's using my guardian farm actually, because it doubles up as a squid farm. Some squids get stuck in, and then we get a little bit of ink sac, not a lot. If I wanted to, I could just AFK more. I would just need to increase the storage of all my shards and stuff. Right now we don't have any because I've already turned it into black dye, but this is the way I'll be farming black dye in my world, because wither roses, they're a little bit more difficult to farm, and you can only get them in like short bursts at a time, but we will be using those a little bit later. Alright, this next dye requires a little bit of exploring because I actually haven't collected any of it. Hopefully in this jungle over here, we'll be able to collect, there we go, a couple of cocoa beans. So these guys will be able to turn into some brown dye. So let's take a couple of these back, as well as some jungle logs, and we can farm up some back at the base. Alright, so here is our semi-automatic cocoa farm. So just two dispensers with bone meal, regular piston on top with a observer here. And then there's a piece of redstone behind this dispenser, just in the gap back there. Bit of redstone around, so flick it on, and you can see it's firing. So we just need to make sure, there we go. So we started with 9, I'm just holding for a few seconds, and we turn it off. And we're already up to a stack. So there's the next one, and we just turn that simply into brown dye. Alright, to move on and quickly go into another simple kind of semi-automatic farm. So we just got two observers facing each other, and this one is good for your pink petals or your wildflowers, which makes the pink dye and yellow dye. So all you have to do is load up with a bunch of bone meal in this dispenser. When you flick this lever, this is going to come down and just automatically go. So we just go like this. As you can see, it's just going to multiply it. We turn it off, collect it. Now let's try with the yellow one. Exact same thing once it gets to 4 of them. And it's just going to create for every bone meal. So bone meal is kind of a very important thing for having this entire episode. For all these dyes, you need lots and lots of dye. So you need lots of bone meal to grow all the flowers, which are the main source. So that's 2 more down. Alright, for this next farm, we're needing to get these cornflowers because lapis is just not a renewable way of getting blue dye. This is. So I found a nice little patch just out here. You can see my iron farm there. There's the museum. So I'm going to set up a nice little farm here for just gathering these guys because it needs to be in a plains biome, which this is top left you see there. And it's going to be just in this area where I see these guys growing. All right, this is a nice and simple farm. As you can see, it works pretty well. You just need to find the right patch for the flowers you want. And as you can see, I get wildflowers, cornflowers, the Azure Bluette, and Oxeye Daisy. Which means I get a couple different colors from this farm on its own. I don't need the wildflowers because I have my farm back in my tower for those. That's a lot easier, but I mean, I get free ones from this, so might as well keep them. Here, I just toss in the bone meal, which goes underneath. It's a very simple farm that goes back and forth. Probably not the most efficient, but good enough for what I need. So let's go add these to the wall. All right, let's take a quick break from making all these farms and go look for a couple of flowers that we can use in a little different way. Maybe we don't use them for the farm directly. Maybe it's just for just collecting all the possible ways of making all these dyes. Let's get to it. All right, and with that done, we've now gathered all the 2 tall blocks, which means I just expanded this by one, just remove the top bit, and any of these can go into here, and we get infinite just like this. So there we go. So that's another 4 items down. All right, finally, I found a flower forest. Looks like by all these tulips here. So grab one of these, one of these. That's a white, pink, good, and orange. Nice. I saw another color up here. No, just those 3 colors, it looks like. So I probably won't be using these for the farm just because this is, I mean, there's my tower right there. Just not the best location, and I can craft them all with the farms I already have. All right, with where we are right now, we've gotten basically all the common ways of getting all these dyes from all the farms and whatnot. So now I'm going to go rummage through all of my storage system to get the other ones that maybe don't really need to be farmable. Things like the beets, because that's how another way to get the red dye, but I'm never going to farm beets. I already have the rose bush, which is a perfectly good way, as well as the poppy from my iron farm. So like things like that don't really need to be included in the farm process, but they can be added into this chart. So let's go find them. All right, there we go. That is everything I could find for my storage unit or anything else from just around my base. I actually forgot about the dandelion flower, so I threw that one in. I just grabbed one from over here. And that was pretty much everything. We're just missing 7 more items on this lower part, which will give us the top for the dyes. And then the easy part is just combining all these dyes because we already have all of them. So we have the Lily of the Valley, which is going to be another white dye. So this is kind of more of just completionist. It's not actually needed for most of these dyes. Then we have the Wither Rose for the black dye. I have like 50 of them somewhere. I just lost them, so I might have to find another Wither for that. Red Tulip, I just need to find the right biome for those. We got the Torch Flower, which is somewhere over here. That one is going to be harder because I don't actually know how that or the Pitcher Pod. I think those are from the Sniffer, so that might not be done this episode. That might be its own episode on its own. And we have the Allium and the Blue Orchid. So Allium for magenta, Blue Orchid for the light blue. So now we're going to go fly around and we're going to have to find these harder to find flowers. The Lily of the Valley, Red Tulip, Allium, and Blue Orchid. And then we'll look into those 2. If they're easy, we'll get them this episode. If not, we'll have to wait for a future one because we still need to get the sniffer for our museum. So maybe that can be its own episode. And then the Wither Rose. Either I'll find it in my base or we're fighting another Wither. Let's get into it. All right, this looks promising. I think this is a flower forest. Let's take a look. Flower forest, perfect. I've been flying around for ages and we've got red tulips. Perfect. I'm going to steal this beehive because why not? So we're still looking for the Lily of the Valley and an Allium because those are the only other 2 I think you can get in this one. Is I searched up which kind of biomes. Oh wow, there's lots of these, so I'm going to steal all these if I ever need to expand my honey farm, which I don't think I will, but better have them than not. Oh, there's the Lily of the Valley. Let's grab a couple of each of these. So I don't want to have to come back here because I'm a couple thousand blocks up if you haven't seen my F3 there. Okay, so a little bit of danger. So apparently you can get the allium in this biome too. So let's wander around, see if we can find it. All right, no allium, but we got two, which is the lily of the valley and the red tulip. So all we need now is allium and the blue orchid, which I know is found in swamps. So I'll have to go find my swamp again. That's quite far away. And then maybe we'll find another flower forest with that allium, or maybe we have to figure out what other biomes they actually spawn in. Let's figure it out. All right, I found the allium, just another little flower forest. Is that what this is? Yeah, another one just not too far away, actually. But we got lucky and found the allium, so that's another one down. Time to go find our swamp for our blue orchid. Whew, okay, this isn't my regular swamp, but it was the closest one I could find. I'm very far out right now. It took me forever. And I'm not seeing the blue orchid yet, but luckily I still have a little bit of bone meal left over. Plus this guy looks like he wants to donate some. There we go, nice and easy. So maybe if we just start boning, oh, there we go. And we got two. Let's grab a couple more, and then we should be good to head back. Oh, there they are, Wither Rose. Bam. And with that lucky find of my Wither Rose, not sure why I didn't look in my nether chest, kind of makes sense a little bit. But now all we're missing is the cyan, which comes from the pitcher plant, I'm pretty sure. I'm missing the torch flower, which comes from the torch seed. So those two need the sniffer, so that's going to be its own episode. And then this one over here is the purple. Is it purple? I think it's purple, or one of them. And it only can be made... No, this is purple. This one I think is magenta? Or maybe that one's the purple. Yeah, I think this one's the purple. So the purple needs a combination. So let's quickly go across and do all the combinations. Alright, and here we are with the finished, or almost finished, missing these two still from the pitcher or the sniffer. We'll get those another episode. But as you can see, we've got a bunch of shulkers down here. And in each of them have at least one stack of the dye. I left some of it in the tower, just whatever I could get my hands on. Oop, that's not good. Didn't mean to do that. That's a problem for these lower ones. But these are all going to be used so I can craft everything into the museum, because that's what we're going to finish off the episode with. We're going to get as many of the dyed items in the game as possible, like the shulkers, the dyes themselves. I think I'm actually going to try and figure out a way to move this display somewhere in the museum, because it's kind of a cool representation of the whole thing. I could probably shrink it down a little bit, maybe don't need these top a bit, and just have from this point down. We'll try and figure out a nice place, maybe a good wall we can find, and put all these in, because this is a kind of cool way of displaying all of this, instead of just putting it into a shelf or in a chest like I had originally planned. So let's go and get all of these first into the museum, and then let's craft up a lot of things. Let's get to it. All right, we're back into the museum on the upper floors, as you can see here. And as you can see, I've gathered all of my shulker boxes, and each of them is all the necessary materials to complete this monument. There are going to be more in the future because the harnesses were added afterwards when I built this, so I'm going to have to find a bit of space maybe on the wall above the banners that I planned. We'll just go into the, there we go, Lightmatica. This is showing what is supposed to be, lagging a little bit. But these are all the blocks I've got so far. So maybe a little bit of the bundles, and then the gas harnesses, and I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else. I'll probably figure it out after I place everything in, and then that'll be good. So let's do a quick little time lapse of me placing all of this in. Let's go! And here we are, all of the colors placed in, basically every colored block in the game. Just a couple items that I need to place probably above there. I'll need to get my item frames all in order and then craft those up. But this was more of just for the block placing today. We'll get to the items another time. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. Making one of each of these was a lot more tricky than you might think. I thought like, oh, it's easy. I've already got the dyes. The easy part's done. It was not. This took so long just to get one of each item and then organize each of them into the shulker boxes so I could do the cool time lapse with flashback, but that made it so much harder. Probably been easier if I just, when I got it, I brought it over. Would have costed a lot more rockets, but would have been done slightly faster. But I think that's going to do it for today's episode. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like and subscribe for more episodes coming soon. Until next time.